Welcome back. When it comes to lawn care and landscaping, you probably think there just isn't much to do these days.
Can't even see the ground, but you're wrong. Even with snow on the ground, you can work ahead before spring arrives.
Garden guy Dale Kay visits the Landscaping Arboretum to show us what to work on now.
G'day everyone, it's March and the days are definitely getting a little bit longer, and if you're like me, you're itching to get into the garden, but you might be wondering, just like me, what can you be doing right now, particularly when there's so much snow on the ground? Well, this morning we are here at the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum to answer that very question. Joining us this morning is arborist Dan Jertson. So Dan, what can people be actually doing in their garden right now?
Well, we have a crabapple right here that needs some maintenance pruning at this time of the year. Maintenance pruning can be taking out these vertical shoots called water sprouts.
And just about every crabapple has those, right?
Yeah, and among many other ornamental trees like magnolias can tend to get water sprouts often.
And what's the rule of thumb for taking out the water sprouts? Is it just right off at the base?
Yep, as close as you can get to the parent limb without damaging that limb.
I know a lot of people have questions about oak trees. We're into March. Too early, too late to prune?
Through March is a safe time to be pruning oak trees. And there's a University of Minnesota website that covers the allowed times, or the safe times we'll call it, for pruning
and
oaks.
why do you want to prune oak trees when they're dormant?
Yeah, you're avoiding the potential of acquiring oak wilt. That's a vascular wilt, so it's a fungal pathogen that moves from tree to tree by way of insect vectors. And during the wintertime or the dormant season, those insect vectors are dormant and the fungus doesn't have any spores that are being released at this point.
When do you prune evergreens? When do you prune the dormant plants? And do any plants really need pruning right now?
Well, the maintenance pruning is important this time of year with our ornamental trees and shrubs, if they're accessible because of all the snow that we have everywhere. For evergreens, it's best to wait until they've gone through their first spring flush, especially considering shearing. You don't want to prune or shear an evergreen as you're approaching into winter because you're exposing tissue to that winter sun and wind. So wait for that first flush, do your round of pruning. You can do another shearing through the summer months, but as we approach into fall, it's good to wait till the next year then for evergreens.
Being an arborist here at the Arboretum, what's your go-to tools as far as pruning? What do you like to use?
I think every arborist and gardener can agree that the Felco 2 hand pruners are the go-to for any type of smaller diameter woody plant pruning. Second one here, I've got it on my person. It's a pruning saw, and this is a Silky Japanese made pruning saw. It cuts on the pull.
That's a nice looking blade.
Very accurate, yeah, great for structure pruning with tight branched unions. Just a larger version of the hand pruner, getting into the loppers. So you could count on a 1-inch diameter limb. Say if I were to cut this one off, I would use a lopper instead of my hand pruner.
Do you want to start pruning trees when they're really young, or when do you want to start pruning trees?
Considering structure, young tree pruning is important. Yeah, so once the tree is established in the landscape, you don't want to prune it the first or second year that after you've planted. Wait till it's established, and then you can come in and start making those corrective cuts to develop a sound structure and a central leader that tree can invest in into the future.
Thanks, Dan. Pruning is always tricky, but it's comforting to know you can get outside and do a little bit of yard work right now. Back to you.
On top of shoveling.
I gotta climb over the mountain at the end of my driveway to get to my
and
said
roof
tree.
raking.
Yeah, I know it's a lot to add to the list, but you know, ideas if you're ahead of the game.
It's fun to think about spring.
It sure is. It was great when all the snow was
so close
off the deck and off the that 1 or 2 days off the sidewalk. You're like, oh, yeah.
It was a good day and a half.
It was. It sure was.